It's Thursday, the 23rd of February 2023, and you are watching another edition of Primetime News. Many thanks for joining us. I'm Selima Shumwefeleni Masipa. Leading this newscast tonight, in an important meeting at State House on Wednesday, U.S. First Lady Jill Biden and Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, sat down to discuss crucial issues related to democracy, youth empowerment, and women's rights. During the meeting, the two leaders engaged in a productive dialogue, sharing ideas and insights on how to promote these essential values and advance progress in these areas. Here is more on that discussion.
My country, they're intertwined. We have to support one another. We have to lift each other up and keep working together, because I think democracies are so precious and so fragile, and they're hard to hold on to. And we have to keep working together to whatever issues you're saying, like, you know, education, food security, health, vaccines. So it is my honor to be here, and I love the fact that there are so many women in your government, and we're still working towards that in the United States, as you know, our ambassador can tell you. We're working hard, but you know, I think my husband made a big step forward, choosing a woman vice president.
We really appreciate you talk about health. Health is one area where there has been a strong cooperation between Namibia and the United States, particularly at the time we got our independence. That was the time when the world was just being haunted by HIV, AIDS.
Yeah.
And with the presidential support program on HIV/AIDS, Namibia was one of the beneficiaries, and we really appreciate that, because you need a healthy nation in order to do other activities in your country. And when it comes to education, we also appreciate and we focus on women and young children, both the boys and girls.
Yes.
Those programs, we really appreciate them, and we want to grow them.
Turning our attention to the 2023-2024 national budget. Now, there has been criticism from opposition leaders regarding the proposed increase of the old age grant by 100 Namibian dollars. The opposition has described this increase as shameful and an awful display of arrogance by the ruling party.
What is also embarrassing is that elders have been paraded here for an additional 100 rands. That was a shame. That was a very bad display of arrogance of a political party that decides that the poverty of our older people, the pain and their suffering, can be elevated to this level, and they will be paraded for merely 100 rands. It's very sad today that they are engaged in desperate politics to want to say that they are doing something.
This budget to me is just an election year budget. It's a tool that the ruling party is trying to use to gain voters. That is why they paraded the pensioners here. I just want to demonstrate one thing. There's an increase in the pension allowances or whatever of $100. I did a calculation of, say, what that 100 of as a percentage of 1,400. It is a mere 6%. Now, we have a situation that since the beginning of the war in Ukraine, the food inflation is about 12%. So I want to demonstrate to you the net effect of that $100 increase on pension money. It is a 7%. In other words, in terms of buying power, the pensioners are worse off today than they were when they were receiving 1,300 because of the inflation rate. A responsible government would have gone for the following. They would have at least covered the inflation rate and increased the pensioners' money with 12%, which is now more than $200. That would have been a reasonable amount because at least they put the pensioners at the place where they were before the food prices went up. But this is now what I call lip service.
We turn now to an update on the flood situation in the Zambezi, Orange and Kuvalai River systems, as provided by the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform spokesperson Jona Musheko on Thursday. Let's listen into this briefing to get a better understanding of the current state of affairs in these regions.
A few days ago, the ministry just issued out a public notice, which is a warning to community members in the Kuvalai Basin system, which is in the northern part of the country, and then secondly in the Zambezi region, or that those communities that are along the Zambezi River and the Zambezi River bank, and also lastly the communities along the Orange River. Firstly, in the Kuvalai Basin system, it's what we have noticed that it's stabilizing slowly, but there is still more water compared to the water that we had in 2011, the flooding that we had in 2011. So we still expect that this water will still remain with us for some more days, but we'll continue monitoring that. Now in the Zambezi region, we also noticed that the river level has started to rise as of last week on the 17th of February. And it is because of the good rainfall that is received upstream, that is in Zambia. And obviously when there is good rainfall in Zambia upstream the Zambezi River, that water obviously gets into the river and impacts the river to rise a bit. So we are urging community members in that specific area, that is Zambezi region and along the Zambezi River, to take precautionary measures, and those that are in the eastern part of the Zambezi River, the flood plains, they should already start relocating so that we avoid any damage to properties as well as loss of lives. Same applies to the communities in the Orange River, whereby the Orange River also has started to rise very rapidly because of the good rainfall that has been received upstream. We are talking about in South Africa. The dams up there in South Africa have been opened so that they can just release some water further lower the Orange River. So we are also expecting that the Orange River should start overflowing to its banks. And also we urge the community members within that area of Oranjemund, North, Duvel, as well as Ausinger, to start making arrangements already so to avoid any damage to properties. And I'm very certain that very soon, if not already, the road authorities will probably have already issued a notice that is warning road users that some roads might be blocked due to the overflowing of the Orange River.
Earlier today, the Ministry of International Relations and Cooperation hosted a prize-giving ceremony to honor the winners of the 2022 SADC Secondary School Essay Competition, which was held under the theme, How Can SADC Boost Productive Capacities in the Face of the COVID-19 Pandemic? This competition saw learners from various member states participate, with the top 3 entries at the national level receiving cash prizes of $500 for first position, $300 for second position, and $200 for third position, totaling $1,000 to be shared amongst the winning entries. More on this exciting event.
The topic for the 2022 SADC Essay Competition was, and I quote, how can SADC boost productive capacities in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic? And this was derived from the theme of the 41st SADC Summit, bolstering productive capacities in the face of COVID-19 pandemic for inclusive, sustainable economic and industrial transformation. We therefore congratulate our top 3 nominees from Namibia, who through their experience in the competition have been exposed to the operations of SADC and the regional integration aspirations of the region.
Based on the historical background, learners were requested to take part in the 2022 SADC Secondary School Essays Competition on the topic, and I'm quoting, how can SADC boost productive capacities in the face of COVID-19? Director of Ceremonies, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me pleasure, great pleasure, to announce this morning and congratulate the 3 learners for their dedication in an effort to discover and fulfill their potential.
Stand by for your top roundup. Welcome to Primetime Biz, the segment that unpacks all things business and economics for you. The 2023-2024 national budget dominates this segment. Minister of Finance and Public Enterprises Ipumbu Shimi made an important announcement on Wednesday regarding social safety nets payout for the upcoming financial year. According to the minister, these increases are designed to protect the purchasing power of those in the social safety nets and guard against any potential erosion.
To guard against the erosion of purchasing power for social safety nets, the provision has been made in this budget to increase the monthly old age pension grant and disability grant, as well as the orphan and vulnerable children grant by $100 Namibian per month. Accordingly, effective from April this year, accordingly effective 1st of April, let's listen. Effective on the 1st of April, the old grant and disability grant will be increased from 1,300 to 1,400 per month. While orphan and vulnerable children grant will be increased from 250 to 350 per month. Listen to this one. The disability grant for beneficiaries under the age of 18 has been increased from 250 Namibian dollar a month to 1,400 per month. This change is also effective April this year. Listen to this one, Honorable Senate. Listen to this one. An amount of 69.8 million has been availed to expand the coverage of orphan and vulnerable children grant by accommodating about 30,000 eligible children currently on the waiting list. Going forward, we say it is our consideration to gradually increase the quantum of social assistance outlays towards children in the effort to improve the utilization of safety nets as a tool to promote human capital development and ensure the intergenerational equity of social protection. As you may recall, we also increased the monthly conditional grant for former food bank recipients in October last year from 500 to 600 to cushion them against the rising prices.
On to developmental matters. In a major development for the healthcare sector, Finance Minister Ipumbu Shimi has announced that the long-awaited renovation of Katutura State Hospital has been included in the budget allocation for the 2023-2024 financial year. The hospital's dilapidated state has been making headlines in local newspapers for some time, and this news will surely be welcomed by many in the community. Let's hear directly from the Minister about this important budgetary allocation and what it means for the future of healthcare in the country.
644.4 million has been allocated to the vote of works to cater for renovation of government facilities and infrastructure countrywide, including the Katutura Hospital, among others. We have availed more than 700 million to the Ministry for investments in and renovation in health facilities, as well as the recruitment of medical personnel, acquisition of pharmaceuticals and ambulances. During the year, the Ministry also developed the Universal Health Coverage Policy Framework to ensure that Namibians receive financial risk protection and improve access to quality healthcare services.
That's where we leave it with the top news for this evening. Stay tuned for the economics roundup, followed by the weather forecast. Welcome to Sport Planet. In a significant move for the sports and youth sectors, Finance Minister Ipumbu Shimi has announced an allocation of 473.2 million Namibian dollars to the Ministry of Sport, Youth and National Service for the upcoming 2023-2024 financial year. This allocation is likely to have a significant impact on the development of sports and youth programs in the country and will undoubtedly be welcomed by many in these communities.
The Board of Sports, Youth and National Service will receive 473.2 million and a total of 1.4 billion over the medium term. The allocation makes provision for a total of 162 million for the renovation and upgrading of the Independence Stadium in Windhoek over the medium term. In January 2023, a Confederation of Africa Football, CAF, Africa Football, for those who don't know, it's called CAF, inspector conducted an inspection of the stadium, and the report is awaited in this regard. Accordingly, the procurement process will commence once the results of the monetary CAF requirements are received and incorporated in the expression of interest.
Moving on to Formula One news. Formula One's own female championship will fire up in Austria on April 28 after a 21-race calendar was announced. F1 executives hope the new series called F1 Academy will identify the first female Grand Prix driver since Italian Lela Lombardi competed in 1976. The inaugural season will visit 7 venues with 3 races at each track. The final round of the campaign will take place on the undercard of the United States Grand Prix in October. 5 teams are entering 3 cars to make up a 15-strong grid. 6 drivers have so far been announced, including Britain's Jessica Edgar, 17 and 19-year-old Abby Pulling, formerly of the W Series. Stand by for your sports roundup. This is where the Primetime News Thursday edition concludes. Many thanks for tuning in. Do join us tomorrow for another insightful and informative edition. From myself, Selima Shimwefeleni Masipa, and the entire production crew, it's good night.